when you become a mum, you almost have to become like superhuman. They are like my whole heart and soul.
Yeah.
You could not write it then what was about to happen. The feeling I got when I walked into the room was like someone had died. There'll probably be a day, maybe, when the girls turn to me and they say, like, Mummy, I don't think I can do that. I'll play them the documentary and I'll say, yes, you fucking can, because look what you did.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jesy Nelson and I'm in great company.
Please welcome Jesy Nelson!
You look back at that time and just go, that was...
Oh God, yeah. I had my really shit times in Little Mix, but I also had some of the best times of my life. We were best mates.
When you decided to leave, that must have been hard, right?
Yeah, it was really tough. From the minute I got off X Factor, I felt like I didn't want to be in it. The way it was making me feel was just like I could not handle it. I couldn't deal with it. And my brother was like, just make as much money as you can and then leave.
Best advice.
Now I've been presented with this situation with my girls, I can now, go above and beyond in terms of just the things that they're going to need.
How are the girls now?
They have just overcome so much and they are so tiny. And I'm like, there's nothing you won't be able to do. This treatment is life-changing. There's been so many families that didn't get the treatment.
That's why you speaking out is going to help so many people. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Great Company. Today's episode is a pretty emotional one, a powerful one for so many reasons, because we have Jesy Nelson on the podcast today. Jesy was part of one of the world's biggest girl bands, Little Mix. I'm a huge fan, it was incredible. But more importantly, she's become a new mum recently to Story and Ocean. Now, the heartbreaking story about that is that Story and Ocean have been diagnosed with something called Spinal Muscular Atrophy, SMA. The fact that Jesy is coming on to spread awareness is just beautiful in every single way. Now, before we start, if I could ask you one thing, if you can please subscribe to Great Company. It does so many things I can't even begin to tell you. He keeps us making the show that you want, it keeps getting the guests that you want, and helps us make the show better and better each week for you. If you can do that one thing, thank you so much, and let us know in the comments what you think of the whole episode. Okay, enjoy this incredible episode of Great Company with Jesy Nelson. Hi, Jesy.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
Man, you kidding me?
Can I just say, this is a bit fangirly, but I actually am a fan. I don't think you understand. I've watched Made in Chelsea from day one.
I'm a huge fan of yours.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but honestly, Jesy, everything you're about, everything that you're doing,
Thank you.
How are you feeling at the moment?
I have good and bad days, I'll be honest. I won't sit here
Okay.
and be like, oh, I'm fucking amazing, because I'm not allowed to swear.
You can fuck
Sorry.
shit.
Okay.
Anything you want.
I've got the biggest potty mouth, so.
Great, go for it.
Yeah, I have good days and bad days. I feel like since getting their diagnosis, it's just been like that. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'm feel almost as like I don't even know that they have it. And then other days I just want to lay in bed and cry, but I can't, because, I have to be there for them. And I have to I was saying it to the guys before, I feel like when you become a mum, you almost have to become superhuman because you're just irrelevant. That sounds, I'm probably going to get absolutely
no, but you
obliterated for saying that. But I feel when you become a mum, I feel like I don't really matter anymore. They are my whole heart and soul.
Yeah.
And I have to just get on with it. Whereas before, things that seem so just ridiculous to me that I used to worry about,
Yeah.
I'd sit in bed and I'd cry and I'd feel sorry for myself, and I'd have days where I just wouldn't even get out of bed. And now, I don't have a choice to do that, because I have to just get on with it. And I just think women are amazing because we just crack on.
Can I say, I said this to you off mic, but I can say, women are amazing.
We are. We actually are. And I didn't realise how amazing we are until I became a mum.
Can I also say, so last night I sat with Sophie and we watched first 2 episodes of your documentary, which is coming out, which is just, it's moving, it's real.
Thank you so much.
It's authentic. It's kind of everything. And with so much stuff out there, this is something that's really going to cut through for so many people.
I hope so.
Oh man, how are you feeling about it?
It's mad, right? Because when I first got pregnant, I've been offered to do this quite a lot of times, to have cameras be let in and just film me. And I've always been no, not for me. I want to keep my life private. And then you know, I'm like a massive fan of reality TV. And whenever I watch anyone's shows, I'm always like, how lovely to like, when you're older, to have their memories to watch back. So when I got pregnant, I was like, you know what, I feel like now's the time, because how lovely I can, when the girls are older, I can sit and they can see all of this back. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. And then I was just like, you could not write it then what was about to happen and what then played out. And I just think I also believe that that's the reason why the cameras were let in my life at that point.
What do you mean by that?
Because now this has happened and they've got their diagnosis and all the stuff that I went through, and it's like, and I want to raise as much awareness about it as possible. And it's like, yeah, now the cameras are there in the time that I went through that. And so now I'm like so grateful that they were there, because hopefully now it's going to spread even more awareness once this comes out.
I want to get, I really want to get on to the diagnosis and what you're dealing with your babies. And just firstly, just from me, I'm just like sorry that you're having to deal with things and lots going on during such a magical time.
Thank you. It's shit. It's really fucking shit.
It is shit.
But at the same time, I'm just still so blessed, because my girls are literally superhuman. Honestly, like I look at them and every day they are happy. And I'm like, what have I created? Like they are just, honestly, they just astound me every day. Like the shit that they've had to go through, and they're still happy and smiling. And I'm like, that almost then gives me even more like strength to be like, well, what gives me the reason to be sad? It's just mad, Jamie, because I never wanted children.
Did you not?
Oh my God. Like I was like anytime I met anyone and they'd be like, oh, so I want kids, I'd be like, for fuck's sake, here we go. Because I was not maternal at all. There was not one maternal bone in my body. Even when I was in Little Mix, the girls were like, you don't want children? I was like, no, I don't. Like they're just, like I love my nephews, but even when I had my nephews, I was like, okay, yeah. Like now, like go back to your mum. It just wasn't there for me. And then when I fell pregnant, which wasn't on purpose, this feeling that I got was just very strange and abnormal, because I was like, why am I happy? And it really freaked me out.
Try and describe it to me. What was it like?
Well, it was like butterflies, but like excitement, but then also like fear and worry. And I was like, and I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand why I was feeling these when I have never wanted children. And then, me and their dad was like, what we're going to do, like, because he always just wanted to be a young dad. I knew he always wanted children, and that was always a bit of a like in our relationship, because we were like, at some point this is going to get really fucking awkward, because what we're going to do, because I don't want children and you do, so like this is so awkward. And we'd been together like 2 years at this point. So when I fell pregnant, I was like, I was so overwhelmed by all these feelings, but I was like, there's a reason that I feel this way. And I just remember getting on the phone to my sister-in-law, and she was the only person I told at the time. And she was like, Jesy, I think this is meant to happen to you.
Really?
She was like, I think you'll be an incredible mum. And she was like, and it's okay to feel scared, because when I fell pregnant with George, I was shitting myself.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's totally normal. She was like, but I really don't think you can ignore these feelings. And I knew that I couldn't. And then just mental, that I never wanted children. And then the universe gave me twins.
In your, which is like...
It's like, you couldn't write it.
In your documentary, you say, before I got pregnant, I felt lost. I didn't have a purpose.
No, honestly, like, only like my real, like, close friends and team know that, like, for a very long time, I felt very lost. Like, just honestly felt like I had no sense of purpose. I was constantly trying to find, like, the next project that would make me feel...
worthy, feel something
Yeah, because I still felt like that even when I was in Little Mix. Like, I loved performing and I loved... But I still felt like that wasn't like what I was truly meant to be doing. Really? There was something missing. And that's why when I made like my documentary when I was in Little Mix, that gave me like a sense of purpose. And then when I left, I was like searching for that and I just didn't know what it was. And then I feel like my girls came along and they just made me the person I've always wanted to be.
I've been like such an admirer of you, and I know I've like reached out and like said different things, and you put a post on Instagram very bravely talking about your baby's diagnosis, and I think me and the whole world hearts just broke for you, because it was you being vulnerable and open and honest, and I sent you a message just saying I hope you're okay. And what was so amazing is you sent me back just saying I just want to spread awareness about this. Can you tell everyone who doesn't know the diagnosis, what's happened with your babies?
So spinal muscular atrophy is a muscular wasting disease. And what it does is, well, they don't have a gene that we all have in our body. So because of that, their now muscles are deteriorating and wasting away. And if you don't get them treatment in time, eventually the muscles will all just die, which then affects the breathing, the swallowing, everything, and they will die before the age of 2. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. It's not okay, but it is what it is, and I just have to accept it and now just try and make the best out of this situation. And my girls are, honestly, I mean, I've said it so much, they are the strongest, most resilient babies. And I really believe that they are going to defy all the odds. I really believe that, because they already have. It's mad. They were in my belly. They had TTTS, which it affects a rare percentage of identical twins, and that means it's when there's only one placenta that both the babies feed off of, and it's crap for both of them because one will get more of the nutrients and one won't. But either way, it doesn't matter. Even the baby that's getting too many nutrients, it still affects them. It's not good. And so if you don't get treatment for that, they will die. It's like 95%. Yeah.
This is what's in the documentary. There's 95% of this.
Yeah, that they won't survive. And it's just mad to me that like when it's like I watch it so differently now. Like when I've watched it back, I like see everything through a completely different lens, because I'm like, they had that, but they also had SMA. And then they just went on to like fight it all.
When you find out the diagnosis, you said, what happened? How do you discover that? What are the symptoms? What are the signs? So
we'd been in NICU neonatal ward for a month with them because they were obviously born early because of the situation that I had with the TTTS. So they came early.
Can I ask how early or no?
So they were, they were 31 weeks. And they were tiny. They were so small. It's so mad because I remember seeing like full-term babies around the time that I had them, and full-term babies look like toddlers to me.
Yeah,
that's how tiny they were. And I just remember thinking, no, I can't ever imagine them being that big.
What, the size of your hand?
Yeah, literally. And that was so tough. That was so hard because I had my C-section, and before I went in for that, they said to me, because I'd been living in hospital for nearly 3 months because of my situation. And because I was told that they could come at any point.
So
they didn't want
me
in
the hospital?
Yeah. So I lived there for like nearly 3 months. And because of the situation that I was in, and I was told that they could come at any point, they wouldn't allow me to go home, because obviously I went home and they came, then the survival rate would be next to nothing. So they wanted me to be in hospital just to be ready for if they came. I was told they were going to come at 21 weeks. They were going to come at 24 weeks. And it just kept going on and on and on, which was amazing because we were just like at one point we didn't even think they were going to be here. So they came, and right before I went in for my C-section, I'd had to, because I'd been in hospital and bedbound for so long, I'd been taking these blood thinning injections. And
so you don't clot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right before I had my C-section, the lady said to me, "Oh, sorry, just quickly before we, they numb your back.
Yeah.
When was the last time you had your blood thinning injections?" I said, 2 hours ago. And she said, "Oh, Jesy, I can't give you the injection. We're going to have to put you to sleep."
Oh my God.
And I was like, "Oh, you actually kidding me?" So now I'm going to miss this as well.
Wow.
Like I feel like in my whole pregnancy, everything was taken from me. Like all the things you're supposed to enjoy, they were all taken from me. And I was like, that was my one thing. I was so excited to see like the birth of my children. And I didn't get that either. So I was like, but I was in such a state of like shock that they were coming that I kind of just forgot about it. And I just wanted them to be safe and well. So anyway, I got put to sleep.
What are you feeling when you go to sleep? What is
I was just scared. I was so scared because they were early, And you just don't know. You don't know what the outcome is. Are they gonna survive? Are they not? So I was just terrified. And Zion wasn't allowed to be in the room, so he had to be out of the room the whole time.
Just, I can't even imagine those emotions that you're going through.
Yeah,
at that
it's
point.
horrible.
Like, let alone all the complications.
Yeah.
And being put to sleep and not even knowing what the future holds.
Yeah. And then it's like you wake up and you're so out of it. So
Yeah,
then,
you don't know what's
I
going
remember
on.
waking up and Zion was there. And he was like, they're fine. They're like, they're amazing. And I was like, oh my God. And I just wanted to see them. And it's the most awful feeling when you've carried babies for 9 months in your belly and you wake up, they're not there and you can't even see them. And I remember being like, well, I want to go see them. So we can't see them yet. Like, we need to make sure you're okay. And then you can go see them. And then when you do go see them, they're in a plastic box and you can't touch them. And it's like,
These little things.
Like, it's so unnatural as a mother to not
Hold.
have your baby on you. And then you literally see them in this, like, which is essentially a plastic box, and you can't touch them. And you just have to see them with all these tubes and these masks on. And they're so tiny. And all you want to do is pick them up and cuddle them, and you can't. And it was horrific. And no one could have prepared me for that part because I just felt helpless. And when they would cry, like, your natural instinct, like, you'll know when, like, to just pick them up when they cry because you want to comfort them. And when they're crying and they've got these massive masks on and these tubes and you can't pick them up and you just have to look at them in a box, it's like, it's horrendous. Yeah, it's hard.
That is...
Yeah, no one could have prepared me for that part.
And it's gonna make me go. It's sad. It's sad for people who don't even have kids. When you have a kid, you can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So when did you first hold them?
The next day. And that was just like magical. It was so magical. And that's in the documentary. We filmed everything. Yeah, everything. We filmed everything.
Good on you. Well done for being brave enough to let cameras in and see that and do that. The awareness you're going to spread is going to I cannot imagine the impact.
I hope so.
Jesse,
really
I cannot tell you. And I mean, you will feel it, I'm sure, but it's incredible that you've done that, because the emotions you must have been going through and the toughness and the heart and all those things. When did you get to take them home?
So we were in the first hospital for a week.
Mm-hmm.
I then had to be sent back to my local hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really tough because I obviously I couldn't stay there. So then having to, like, even just that, like, leaving your baby in the hands of, obviously, who are amazing.
But a stranger.
And you just have to go. It's honestly, I can't even describe to you how unnatural it is to have a baby and then just be taken from you.
Yeah.
And you just can't even do what's, like, your natural instinct is just look after them and care for them and
especially as a mother.
them. Yeah. Then they were there for a month in my local hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like, that is one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through, because I just, every time I would come in, having to see another woman hold and look after my baby was just, like, heartbreaking for me, because I was like, they don't even know I'm their mum. They've been taken from me, and now every time they are picked up, they're picked up by a different woman. How? And I kept saying to Zion, and my mum, like, how do they even know that I'm their mum? And everyone would go to me, oh, don't be silly. They know you're your mum from your scent and your heartbeat. But until you go through it, I can't explain to you how painful it is. And I'll never forget when I walked in and one of the ladies was feeding her with a bottle for the first time. And I was just like, I felt like I just wanted to die, because I was like, that's
my job.
That's my job.
That's what
and
I
it's
should be doing.
I can't even explain to you how, like, painful it is to, like,
angry.
Yes. And it's such a horrible feeling to have, because they're there to help and look after your children and they do an amazing job. But at the same time, like, you can't help these feelings. It got so bad to the point where I remember when my mum, because obviously at that time, because they're so vulnerable, you're only allowed mum and dad and grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And bless my mum, I remember when she came and I couldn't even let my mum hold them because I was like, I don't want any more women holding them because they don't know who I am.
Mm.
And I remember when I eventually left, I was like, I don't want anyone in my house. I don't want any woman in my house. I just want them to know me. And I've only really just kind of gotten over that now, that feeling. Even me and my sister like look so much alike.
Mm.
And I remember when my sister was like, oh, so excited to hold them. And I remember my whole body was like rejecting, was just like, no, I don't want to hold them. But at the same time, I knew how much she wanted to hold them. And the whole time she was holding them, all I kept thinking was, we look alike and they're going to think you're their mum.
Isn't it mad what these...
Yeah.
But you're a lioness and that's what you do. You're in protective mode, right?
Yeah.
You just want to protect and be there and hold and everything.
Mm-hmm.
When did you notice that Ocean's story maybe weren't developing as quickly?
So this is the part that I'm trying to get over. So when they were in the neonatal ward, you're constantly told, don't compare your babies because they're not going to be like full-term babies. They're not going to reach the same milestones. Don't, because you'll just torture yourself. So that was like, and when I tell you, like they like drill that into you, like don't compare your baby. So when we took them home, I noticed all the signs, but didn't know what they were. I just thought it was because they were premature. So even when I held them for the first time, their legs were like in this frog leg position. And I remember turning to Zion and saying, oh, their legs are so cute. Look at this little position that they're laying on me in. And then when I took them home, when I'd lay them down to change their nappy, their bellies were like a bell shape. So SMA babies, their ribs will go in and their bellies come out like this. And they breathe from their belly. They won't breathe from their chest. And I just remember saying to my mum, like, oh, haven't they got unusual little shaped bellies? And she was like, I know, it's because they're premature. And I just saw all of the signs, but I just had no idea because I was constantly told, don't compare your baby. So I just thought that was normal. And then me and Zion decided we wanted to move to Cornwall because we wanted our babies to we felt like they'd been through all this trauma and we just wanted them to grow up in like peaceful setting and just be around the sea and just live like a kid. So we went to Cornwall and I honestly was not even taking notice of their legs because they were like, you know, they're my first set of children. So I don't know how they should be moving their legs or what they should and shouldn't be doing anyway. But it was like kind of their feet would move just like this. But there was no like, you know, like most babies will kick their legs quite frantically, but theirs were just like this. And, you know, because we'd moved 6 hours away, now my mum wasn't with me every day. So she, I think, noticed how much it deteriorated. And she was looking at them in their little rockers and she said, Jesy, they don't move their legs very much. Have you noticed that? And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, have you not noticed? They just don't kick their legs. They should be kicking their legs. I said, Mum, they're premature. They're like, you're comparing them. And she kept comparing them to my nephew. She was like, no, but don't you remember when George was a baby and he would really kick? And I said, but George was a full-term baby. Yeah. You can't compare them. And we've been told that. She was like, I know, Jesy, but something's not right. She was like, there's something not right. And my mum is she's such a worrier. She worries about everything, like everything. And a bit like me, thinks the worst in every situation. And so I just thought that was her.
Just worrying.
Yeah. And then a week went by and I remember changing their nappy and just thinking, oh God, they actually don't move their legs at all. Like for some reason, they just stopped. There was nothing. It was like that little toe would move. And I'd be like, and I remember saying to Zion, I actually think my mum's right. Like, this isn't normal. I said, we need to go see someone because something's not right. So we went to the paediatrician and they do all these like tests on them. It's horrible. They're almost like, well, they are with babies that have SMA. They're like rag dolls. They're so like, even now when I hold them, people still think they're like newborn babies because the way that I have to hold them because they can't hold themselves up. They're like newborn babies. So they're very floppy. They can't do anything. So he's like tipping them upside down and he's doing all this stuff on them. And you're a bit like, it's very overwhelming. And he said, okay. And I just, you know, when you just know, you just, I don't know if it's a mother's instinct or it's just an instinct. I just knew from the like way he was speaking to me that something serious was going to happen. And he said, okay, they're showing signs of hypertonia. I was like, what's that? And he said, well, before I get into that, I want to get them for some blood tests and I want to do a brain scan on them. I was like, a brain scan? He said, yeah, one of their heads looks quite big and I'm worried she's got fluid on her brain. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, so we need to do that straight away. I want to do that straight away. I said, okay, well, how long is that going to take? He said, I don't know, could be a couple of weeks. I said, well, you know, at that point I was like, I'm going home. I'm going home and I'm going to go see someone privately. And I remember walking out of the room and I just burst into tears. And Zion's very like, the complete opposite to me. He thinks the best in every situation, which is probably, you know, how we all should be. But I'm just not wired that way.
No, but you've also been in fight or flight mode since 21 weeks, right? So you're already alert on everything.
Yeah. And I said, we're going home. And I remember getting on the phone to my mum and she was like, so what did they say? What did they say? And I said, oh, it said they're showing signs of hypertonia. And she was like, what's that? And I said, well, he told me it's poor muscle tone. And everyone was like, oh, that's all right. They're just going to need physio. And Zion was like, they're just going to need physio, Jess. That's like, we're really worrying. That's like, and I was like, I just knew. I can't explain this feeling that I had. I just knew. And everyone was like, don't Google. Well, of course I Googled. Yeah. And the first thing that comes up when you Google hypertonia is SMA Type 1. And it says, if you do not get treatment, your baby will not make it past the age of 2. And I just remember feeling like, you know, like in a movie when, have you seen it when like the person is standing and the whole world is just spinning around them and they're like, that's what that moment felt like. And before I even read what the symptoms were, I just knew that's what they had. I just knew it. I don't know why, I just knew. And then it showed me the symptoms and every single symptom was what they were showing. And I said, Zion, just read that. He's like, that's not what they've got. That's not what they've got. You're being negative. You're being negative. I said, I'm not being negative. I know that's what they've got. I said, and if this is the case, like, we need to fucking do something because time's of the fucking essence now. Like, well, this is not a joke. So we took them to a private paediatrician in London. And that was one of the worst parts. So he did pretty much the same thing that the other guy did. But he didn't beat around the bush. He went, well, this is really alarming.
He said that? Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, it's like your children are practically paralysed from the waist down. And at that point, I was just like, okay. I said, all right, what do we need to do? He said, well, you need to get a blood test. He said, because this is very serious. Like, I believe this is very serious. I said, okay, where do I get a blood test done? Where can I go privately? He said, you can't. I said, what do you mean you can't get a private blood test? He said, you can't. They won't do a blood test privately on a baby this little. So at this point, I'm like, weeks have gone by now, right? And I'm like, this is like, and the craziest thing as well is that now I'm really starting to see their legs deteriorate because it's that quick. So now I'm like, then there's no movement now. When I saw there was a little bit and now there's nothing. So he was like, right, first thing I want to do is send you for an EMG. I said, what's an EMG? He's like, well, it's going to tell us whether it's nerves or it's muscles. If it's nerves, then that means that's to do with the brain. And if it's muscles, that means it's, you know, the muscles are not working. I was like, right, okay. So he's like, so I'm going to send you to have an EMG done. And I was like, all right, so after that, then what happens? And he was like, well, it'll give us like a 95% accuracy of, you know, what the diagnosis is going to be. But until we get a blood test, we're not going to know. I was like, oh, how can I get the blood test? He was like, what I need to do is write you up a letter and then you're going to need to take that to your local hospital. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, this is just days and days and days of like wasting time. So they had their EMG. And I said to the lady, how long do these results take? She said, oh, well, I'll have them by the end of the day. And I was like, oh, brilliant. So can you send them over to the doctor? So she said, yeah. So I rang him and he wasn't answering, and his secretary answered the phone. She was like, he's gone away on holiday. And I'm like, is this a fucking joke? I'm like, okay, well, like, I need these results. Like, this is very serious.
Oh my God.
And she was like, I'm going to try my best, but he is away on holiday. And then within a few hours, she called me and she said, the doctor would like to speak to you. I just knew. I just knew, because I was like, he wouldn't leave it. And then he did a Zoom with us and he said, I am, and from the test results, 95% sure that they've got SMA type 1. And I said, okay, so now what? At that point, I was in, I feel like I'd kind of already like got to that point that they had it. And at this point, my brain was like, well, now we need to just get them the treatment. So I wasn't really processing the diagnosis. I was more like, we just need to like now take the steps to get them the treatment, and how quickly can we do that? Because they're literally fucking deteriorating in front of us. So he said, I'm going to write you this letter, and the best thing you can do right now, because you can't take them to Great Ormond Street. So he said, you need to go to your local hospital and you need to explain to them how severe and like important it is that they look at your babies. And then once they have done their assessment on them, then they can refer you to Great Ormond Street. And then it's whether Great Ormond Street think this is serious enough. So I'm like, you know, when you're just like, you feel so helpless. It's like,
and you're just like, you can't understand why people aren't reacting in the way that you want. Like, we need to do something, everyone. It needs to be now.
So he wrote us the letter. That night we went to A&E and I just explained the situation. I showed them the letter and they said, okay, they saw us straight away. There was no waiting around. At this point, we now have to, they've looked at the babies and they've said they're underweight. They're severely underweight. Bearing in mind, prior to all of this happening, I'd been taking them to the GP and saying, my babies are not feeding. They don't take their bottle. They're crying. At one point I was like, they got sore throat. Is that why they're not swallowing?
Oh my God.
And they were like, oh, you know, they're premature. And, you know, you just got to keep trying little and often. And that was all I was ever told. There was no, well, yeah, they're underweight. Like, let's like take this seriously. So, yeah, so then the hospital had said they were underweight. They need to go on feeding tubes because they just were not. They'd take about 10 ml on the bottle. So
10 ml,
so then they went on feeding tubes and they had to stay in hospital for 2 weeks before even
like
going to Great Ormond Street.
It feels like you're back to where you began.
Yeah, and then all that was like coming up. I like felt like I was like being triggered.
Yeah.
So then they were in hospital for 2 weeks. Then they went to Great Ormond Street, and that was a whole nother level. I just remember walking into this room and there was like 8 people like waiting to see us, and it's so overwhelming because you're like, fuck, like you really like hits you at how serious it is, and each person is like assigned to do something to like test your baby. Walked into the room and it was just like, it sounds so dramatic to say it, but it's like the feeling I got when I walked into the room was like someone had died. So then they said, right, first of all, we want to sit you down and we just want you to tell us what you've been experiencing, what's been going on, how long you've like noticed these signs for. So I did all of that. Then they said, okay, cool, we're going to assess the babies now. You know, and you're like, oh my gosh, like how many fucking times do we need to keep assessing the babies? Like, I've done this so many times now. Like, it's, and I get it, they have to.
But we know what's going on here.
Yeah. And I'm just like, just do the fucking bloods at this point. Like, really? So they do their assessment. They say the same thing. You know, we're 95% sure they've got SMA type 1, but until we get these bloods done. So, you know, we need to get these bloods done. Also, we need you to sign these forms now that you are okay with them getting this treatment, because time is of the essence now, obviously, as you know. And then they start telling you, you know, what your baby's survival rate is. And it's just, yeah, it's a lot. And then they said, okay, well, it should take about 3 days for the bloods to come back. And then, you know, once we've got the confirmation, they can start the first course of treatment. And then we took them home. And then we got a Zoom call. And that was when they told us. But I was already there. I already knew. There was no shock for me when they told me.
Jesy, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
How are the girls now?
Oh, they're amazing.
Really?
Oh, but they've always been amazing. Like, you know, even through everything they've gone through, they've always just smiled and been so happy and showed so much resilience.
Wow.
And it's like the one thing that I always take from it is that they don't know, you know, this is all they've ever known, which is so sad, right? But, you know, they're not old enough to know what's going on, and they have each other. And do you know how blessed I am that they have their twins and they're going through it together?
Yeah.
Like, they're never going to be alone, and that just like makes me feel so much better about the situation. But you know, they're doing as good as they can be right now. But the thing is with SMA is it's like everything's so uncertain. And that's the part that can really drive you crazy, because you can really go down a dark hole. Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? And you just drive yourself mad, because
you have to stay away from that.
Yeah, you just have to take each day as it comes.
100%, you've got to
and
do
take any little thing that happens as a win in terms of, you know, progress.
Can I ask a completely naive question? Will they potentially be able to walk?
They've told us no. But, you know, I am a big believer of manifestation. And, you know, look how fucking far they've come. Look what they've done already, and look what they've beat. And I'm like, who says they won't? So I'm going to just do everything in my power to give them, you know, the best opportunity possible to be able to, you know, walk. But if they don't, it doesn't matter. That doesn't define who they are.
Completely.
They're fucking and you know, that's why I feel so like grateful and happy and proud that like I'd let the cameras in at this time, because I cannot fucking wait. Yeah, because there'll probably be a day maybe when the girls turn to me and they say, like, Mummy, I don't think I can do that. And I'll say, I'll turn the TV on and I'll play them the documentary, and I'll say, yes, you fucking can, because look what you did. And I'm so happy that I have that to show them, because they have just overcome so much and they are so tiny. And I'm like, there's nothing you won't be able to do.
And you spoke about your mum earlier.
She's the best. I could not. I'd be fucked without my mum.
Yeah.
She's just, honestly, yeah, she's just amazing. But it's a real journey. It's like every day's different, but you just
but you know what, Jesy, the journey that you've had in your life, right? From when you were a kid to going on X Factor and doing Little Mix and having the tough time you had in Little Mix, right? And having, you know, the horrendous amount of abuse that you had, you know, and all those things are just kind of like, you're this survivor and you're resilient and you keep going. And
thank you.
Your babies couldn't have a better mum.
Thank you.
Truthfully,
that's
right?
so sweet.
Truthfully,
thank
right?
you so much.
And, you know, I think it's your best friend in your documentary says Jesy turns pain into power, which is kind of incredible, right? Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't feel like it when I'm in that moment, but I mean, that's lovely.
There's a heel prick test that you've mentioned.
Yes.
That can test for SMA.
Yep.
So
it's not in this country.
So
it's
explain
like 45 countries where they do tests for it, and this is one of the countries that don't. I think it's just it's now just been made part of the heel prick test in Scotland. They're saying that it's going to take up to 6 years potentially for it to be in the heel prick test here, which is like just mad, because it's like all these babies that are going to suffer and all these families that are going to suffer, and they don't have to.
Explain that to me. So the test can prevent it? So
the test will tell you whether they have SMA and what type, how severe it is. And then once they've got that diagnosis, it's then about getting treatment as soon as possible.
As soon as possible, because then that can then prevent things from
Jamie,
deteriorating.
when I tell you, this treatment is life-changing. I feel like I need to show you, because sometimes I can verbally say it, but until you see it, it's like you don't actually understand the severity. It's literally the case of either your child will be in a wheelchair or your child will walk if you get the treatment early enough. And it's just like, when you go to Great Ormond Street, there's a whole corridor of like families on the wall and all their different diagnoses and what they've been through. And there's 2 girls with SMA type 1. One of the sisters is in a wheelchair because obviously the parents didn't know, and then, unfortunately didn't get her treatment in time to be able to save her legs. And then there's the sister, when they went on to have another child, they knew what they were going to be dealing with, so they got her treatment early enough, and she walks, does gymnastics, and you wouldn't even know she has SMA. And that's the difference.
Why don't they do the heel prick test here?
Money. But the part that just really breaks my heart is that it costs so much more than what the NHS are going to have to fund out for all the stuff, the equipment, the everything that then the child then has to have because they haven't had this treatment. Honestly, if I showed you the hallway of my house, every 2 weeks, I get sent all their medical stuff that they need, because the stuff I have to do on them every day is just, it's like, and it's just like, who gets to decide whether your child will walk or not?
And I'm sure there are parents listening now who perhaps their kids have SMA or they've just found the diagnosis. What would you say to them? If they've just found out?
Yeah. Oh God, I don't even know. I'm still figuring it out myself. Just to take the only bit of advice that I have, if you've just found out, is to just take each day as it comes. That's all you can do. And it's, it's changed my life forever, but I am just still so grateful to, the fact that they had their treatment and they're still here, because it's just so sad that there's been so many families that didn't get the treatment and their children died. And it's just, that shouldn't be happening in this day and age when there is treatment that really fucking works and changes their life so dramatically. And it fucks me off that it took for me, with a platform, for it to be taken seriously. These poor families have been fighting for years and years and years to get this changed and just been ignored. And then I come along, and because I have a few million followers now, you're going to take it seriously. It's like, what? That shouldn't be the case. But, it is what it is. And you just got to fucking do what I can.
Yeah, but that's why you speaking out is going to help so many people.
Yeah.
Which is just so incredible. You've been through so much. When you look back now and having experienced this, do you sometimes think, man, the stuff that I used to care about and worry about doesn't even matter?
But this is what I say. My girls have made me the person I've always wanted to be. Because when something like this happens in your life, oh my God, everything else just feels so insignificant.
Does it really?
Oh my gosh, Jamie, the shit I used to worry about, I'm like, how pathetic. How pathetic that you worried about that. And it's like, they're just, I feel like they've just been eradicated now. So I've always been so conscious of, what I look like and my weight, and I honestly couldn't give 2 fucks anymore. I could not give 2 shits because it's just so insignificant to my life right now. And it just puts everything into perspective. And that's why I'm just so grateful for them as well, because they've just changed my whole outlook on life and how I feel about myself. And they're just amazing.